back to another episode of Zakhm se Roshni, brought to you by MBAKH Khwaish in collaboration with Nixor Creative Studios and Sharks on Air. Today's episode is very important to our community and the deaf community. So today we have two very special guests, Mr. Ahmed Arshad, the assistant manager, and Mr. Aaron, the regional director. So, can you guys tell us a little bit about your school, a little bit about your organization?
Yeah, so Deaf Reach is made in Pakistan. It's not an international NGO. So it's founded by my parents. My eldest brother was deaf, so this became the motivation for them to move to Pakistan in 1989 and set up education and support for the deaf. We started with just a very small office space in Sadr in Karachi that we opened for vocational classes for 25 young deaf adults. And now, alhamdulillah, we have expanded to 10 campuses across Pakistan, providing free education to deaf children. It includes transportation, food, uniforms, everything that we can give to them in a very nurturing environment. And not only that, but we are opening satellite schools. We are in partnerships with the governments of Sindh as well as other provinces to strengthen the deaf systems and the deaf education systems in their schools. Teachers of the deaf or teachers of the deaf in the government schools haven't had any training before, so this is something that's very important to us. In addition, we provide vocational training to all our students. Job placement is a very important outcome of education, so making sure that they have good jobs is a very important component. Parent training and teacher training. There are no teacher of the deaf training programs anywhere in Pakistan, so many of them we develop them ourselves. Many of our teachers are our former graduates or graduates of the Deaf Reach system. About 50% of our teachers are deaf themselves. And then, parent training and support. Over 90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents who don't know sign language, never met a deaf person before. And so this is a very important component of what we do. In addition, we do digital resources and advocacy for the deaf.
That's wonderful to hear. So to our audience, the concept of a school that's directly dedicated to the deaf, it might be something new. Can you please tell us how it differs from a traditional school?
So deaf children, and again, we should think of the deaf community not as a disability, but more of a language minority that happens to have a different culture, and that culture is embedded in sign language. Like we just said, most children do not have access to sign language at an early age. And so the most important thing for the deaf children is to make sure that they have access to language as early as possible. If they miss that window of language acquisition between 0 and 5 years old, it becomes very challenging for them to catch up. But if they have access to language at appropriate age, they can succeed just as well as a hearing child or a mainstream child. So this is really the crux of what we're trying to do, is making sure that they have the correct access to language as early as possible, as often as possible. And from then, they can go on and succeed. We have our students who are our students in Hyderabad.
So basically, we do have a campus at Rajabad. That is an area in Sindh province. So our two students secured first and second position in the Hyderabad group just 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we do have two students who went to America on a scholarship, and one of them has came back to Pakistan and joined Deaf Reach, and he's doing a wonderful job here.
But the two position holders, they went through, it was competing against mainstream students. It wasn't a special exam or a separate thing. It was very much part of the hearing students, and they were amazingly successful, alhamdulillah. So a lot of things can happen, and deaf really can just do anything as long as they have the right access to language and support.
So you've talked about how it's really important for the people, for the deaf children at a young age to learn sign language, right? So what do you think we should do as a community, like people with platforms such as Meri, this podcast, schools and other NGOs? What can they do to help these people get into sign language at a young age?
So sign language is, first off, sign language is a complete language. It's not a copy or lesser language than Urdu or English or the spoken language. It has its own grammars, rules, punctuation. So learning Pakistani Sign Language would take about the same amount of time as it would if you started picking up a spoken language. Now, in the case of spoken language, you'd probably start with the very basics, the ABCs. So that's probably what you would do in sign language as well. Just do the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you don't know the sign, fine, just spell it. And that's a great way to start, and it's a great way to include the deaf community. The second thing is that the deaf community is very used to navigating in a hearing world. They are more than willing to meet you halfway, more than halfway. You take a few baby steps, and they'll accommodate you as much as possible, because this is their life experience. It's growing up trying to negotiate the hearing world. So a lot of hearing people go into this and like, oh no, should I sign? I'm not a confident signer yet. That's something that we always, no, go ahead, be an imperfect signer. You don't have to be perfect in order to start communication with the deaf.
In recent years, MBAKH, Meri, Khwaish, and definitely had a collaboration on the project Khwabon Chiraagh. So, in my experience, when I was interacting with the deaf individuals, I do not personally know sign language. However, they were so expressive on their own. They were without the need of vocal communication. They were able to express and talk to us and even befriend us. So that was a wonderful experience for us. So could you expand on the project Khwabon Chiraagh and how it came to be and how it impacted the individuals at your school?
Basically, we do encourage student volunteers to interact and to visit and to do interactive activities with other students, the deaf students. Basically, what I have noticed and what I have heard from the teachers that from the kindergarten till grade 6, 7, 8 students do have some kind of behavioral issues. Like they do feel like they are out of the society and they are not a part of the society and they are somehow inferior from the hearing persons. So we have to eliminate this factor from those deaf students. So we do encourage the hearing students to interact with their kids. I got in coordination with, I guess, you and someone from MBAKH back in February and March this year. And since then we have interacting on different levels. We do have some articles with you at your Khwaish shop that you guys exhibit in your last exhibition at Lipton. And you guys do invited 8 girls from grade 6 or 7 something back in August for the interaction at Darul Sukun or Darul Aman. Darul Meet, sorry. So basically we to encourage ताकि जो है वो हमारे बच्चों का जो है उनका लगता है कि वो लेफ्ट आउट सोसाइटी के कॉर्नर तो उनका वो जो इनके थिंकिंग है वो थोड़ा सा उसको जो है वो कम किया जा सके उनको लगे कि we are basically normal students and we are basically speaking a different language. We are speaking, we are interacting with others in sign language, and you guys, and we the hearing persons are interacting with others in English and Urdu.
Okay. So recently we collaborated with MBAKH. Let's talk about Khwaish Shop. So recently you and me, we have been in the talks and we have made Referees our official collaborator for Khwaish Shop. So in Khwaish Shop, we sell merchandise from that are made by our students, such as pottery, tote bags, pearl work, jewelry. So it kind of gives off that skill learning and art is a very important aspect to the deaf community. So can you expand on why it's really important?
Basically, we do have a vocational training center at our campus. We do have 10 campuses across Pakistan, 6 in Punjab, one in JVK, one in Balochistan, and we are about to open our 11th campus in Azad Kashmir in a year or two, inshallah. So we do have a vocational training center in all our campuses, and we do provide vocational training to our students from grade 6 and onwards. So we do provide them the pottery. We do have a pottery section in our vocational training center. We do have a painting section. We do have a stitching section. We do have an embroidery section. We also provide them with culinary training, that how to cook or how to bake something. So we are providing not only education, but we are also providing them the skills to earn their bread and butter. Like everyone do not do white collar jobs. Some students are usually like in our hearing community and in the deaf community are are not born to pursue their education till higher grades. So we have to provide everyone, not just the deaf persons. We do have to provide the skills training to the hearing persons as well, so they can have some skills. Because doesn't have everyone do not have born to pursue their education, higher education.
Yeah, that's just like us non-deaf people. Even some of us are not born to pursue higher educations. They're not born to have a white collar job. Everyone has their own place in the world. So, Mr. Aaron, can you?
And so, can I just add that? Yeah, so great. So you can have a paper that says I completed 12th class or 14th class or 16th class, but that doesn't necessarily prepare you for the real world. So I think this is where vocational training, apprenticeships, and on-the-job training comes in to make sure that they have an understanding of what's out there that's outside of the classroom and what they should have an idea of what they should expect.
Oh, okay. So, Mr. Aaron, why do you think these? How do you think this skill making can help them in the real world? The skill making that you guys do at your institute, how do you think it will help them in the real life?
So if you, for example, if you're doing culinary arts, you could be opening your own restaurants. You can be working in the food and beverage services industry. If you've got your skills in IT, depending on where you're going, you can be coder, graphic designer. There's many different fields that you can go into. And then the same with there's a very large textile industry in Pakistan. So we work actually with some companies to say, hey, this is an employable skill that I don't have training for in Pakistan. Can you give us 3 months training with your deaf students? And then we'll place them on the job. And that becomes a wonderful track. It adds value to the organization, adds job security to the deaf individual. So they're not just, I'm just on the floor, but I actually have a marketable skill that I can offer to the company. Very critical.
Could you expand on some of the companies that you guys have collaborated with, and what exactly are you guys helping them to do? Like, what jobs are they getting into?
So for right now, it's, in Lahore, there is a very large program with Sapphire Textiles, where we do a batch of 25, 30 deaf individuals every month. 3-month training. And so every quarter they have 30 individuals going through. Right now, Sapphire employs over 300 deaf individuals because of this initiative, because of the on-the-job training, because of the vocational skills training.
Also, I want to add something. Also, we do have multiple or dozens of alumni working in Gulama Textile in Karachi, Firoz 1888 and Surti Textile. And we do have many alumni working in TFC.
Oh.
And there is a SOP. The State Bank of Pakistan just issued an SOP, I think last year, that every commercial bank has to recruit 2% of their staff. That must be PWDs, persons with disabilities. So we are actively recruiting we are actively placing our alumni in the commercial bank as well.
That's wonderful.
So far in the journey of the outreach, we have placed around 27 plus deaf, 2,700 plus persons from deaf community.
So yeah, the KFC experience is actually a very wonderful example of a full circle solution that benefits everybody involved in this partnership. This is started a while back, I think 2007, 2008, and now there's 200 plus employees. I think maybe if you visited KFC, you've had an interaction with deaf. But so obviously it gives job security and employment to the deaf individuals, and then it brings awareness to the broader community. There's people from all walks of life insurance at KFC, and then they look it up and they're like, oh, they're not scary. It's not something that they're worried about. They're confident people. They're very smiling. They're happy. They're able to serve me without any problems. And this has contributed to a very large mind shift throughout Pakistan, where now universities are approaching us saying, I met my KFC and I want to figure out how to bridge the communication gap. I want to make apps. I want to come up with a solution. I want to learn sign language. And this has become a wonderful thing for them. For KFC's bottom line, they're like, customers go out of their way to go to a restaurant where they have less complaints for employees. And then it also brings them a lot of international recognition and awards. It's something that's very big for them. And in turn, KFC sponsored our garage campus in order to provide more
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's a wonderful full circle solution.
Okay.
I want to कुछ लोग कुछ भी voluntarily recruit करना चाहते हैं deaf students को, deaf employees को. Like I do have a meeting last week, and that person was from an educational institute. So he was saying that I do have two factories inside area where I do want to recruit your around 8 to 10 alumni to my factory. So मैंने कहा ठीक है, आप जो है हमारी जॉब के फ्रेंड और मैनेजर से बात कर लें और वो आपको जो है वो पूरा प्रोसीजर बता देंगे. तो जो लोग हैं अवेयरनेस, इट्स ऑल अबाउट अवेयरनेस. अगर जितनी ज़्यादा अवेयरनेस होगी इस कम्युनिटी में और सोसाइटी में, उतनी ज़्यादा लोग जो है वो देखेंगे कि यार इनको भी जो है ना, दे आर नॉट इन्फीरियर टू एनीवन, बेसिकली देयर कम्युनिटी. तो उनकी बस एक इंटरेक्शन लेवल उनका डिफरेंट होता है. वो दे टू इंटरेक्ट विद द साइन लैंग्वेज. एंड वी आल्सो प्रोवाइड साइन लैंग्वेज टू दोज कंपनीज जो रिक्रूट करती हैं डेफ कम्युनिटी के पर्सन्स को. Like we do conduct quarterly meetings and training sessions in KFC to fill the gap between their employees and employer. तो इस तरह से सेशंस भी होते हैं, तो ट्रेनिंग सेशंस होते हैं साइन लैंग्वेज के, वो भी हम लोग कंडक्ट करवा.
Actually, other countries are approaching us saying, how do you do that at KFC? How can we do that in our country? And we just had a conversation with one organization, with one KFC in the country. We just hired 5 people. We're very excited. It's fun.
It does seem really fun. That's great. I'm so glad that everything's working out for you guys. So you talked about how awareness is really important. What do you guys recommend for the hearing people, that how can they help promote this awareness?
We will have our website, www.co.pk. Basically, we have an honor to build Pakistan's first sign language dictionary. The dictionary consists of 6,000 plus sign language words, and that dictionary is available online. You can visit it at psn.org.pk. तो कोई भी पाकिस्तान के अंदर साइन लैंग्वेज वहाँ से अवेयरनेस अगर उसको लेनी है, किस तरह से इंटरेक्ट करना है डेफ कम्युनिटी के साथ, तो वहाँ से वो psn.org.pk से जो है वो सीख सकता है, कर सकता है और फिर वो इंटरेक्ट भी कर सकता है.
And you can help by spreading awareness. You can help by volunteering. There's the field of deaf education and deaf support is very new and very recent. So it's kind of one of the new frontiers. I don't think AI is going to be taking that job anytime soon. So this might be something for those who are worried about that. So this might be a field that would be of interest to you. And as you see, it's very, very rewarding. It's something that people are like, oh, you're doing such a wonderful job, sacrificing and all. It's rewarding for me. I think we'll be talking about a few examples of yeah, it's incredible being these kids who just love coming to school.
It absolutely is. Even in my experience, when I came over and I interacted with your students, they were so lively. They were exciting, and their body movement was just so lively. It felt really nice, and I even ended up exchanging in like personal social media with them, and even befriended some of them, and it was just so great. They're so happy and so full of energy, and that I feel like something that people outside might not know. They've kind of placed a horrible taboo around the deaf community, which is something I feel like should be removed, something that should be worked upon.
Sure, and I think Deaf Reach is an educational institute, but first and foremost, I think it's a safe haven. Home for deaf children is isolation, boredom, kind of rejection. Whereas it comes to the Deaf Reach school here, I'm just like everybody else. So whereas most hearing kids would kind of look forward to summer vacations, for our kids, they really don't like that very much, and they're very much more happy in a beach environment.
That's great to hear. So can you tell me some of the hardships that the deaf community goes through, and how does Deaf Reach, like you said, you've made a safe haven for these students. So how exactly does Deaf Reach approach this? How do you guys make the safe haven a safe haven?
Yeah, so there are a lot of challenges I think that most of us are aware of in Pakistan. And what most people may not be aware of is that 80% of deafness happens in lower and middle income countries because of sanitation, because of awareness, healthcare, access to medicine, and things like that. And then, like you said, there is a large taboo. It's not just among certain some segments of society. It's across from the very wealthy to the upper class. We have we were in connection with two donors who are very wealthy from very large families. They both had deaf children, but they weren't talking to each other, even though they were connecting to each other very regularly in social circles. They just tell each other that I'm deaf kids. So I think the fact that deaf reach is out in the rural areas and not just in the main cities is kind of helps people kind of accept it a little bit more. We have a lot more people coming to the Deaf school saying, "I'm a deaf child," instead of us kind of going to the community saying, "Can we help you?" But there's a lot more that can be done, and that should be done, aside from just the stigma and the taboo about this. We're working on a lot of solutions, so we're doing a great job in these 10 locations that we're currently at, but we know we need to do more. So 2 years ago, 2023, we only had 8 campuses for the deaf. Now, this year, we'll take something.
Has inaugurated 9 campus in March and 10 campus in August.
That's so great.
Now, it sounds like schools, we just opened up 50 more this year.
50 more?
Four.
Oh.
We feel we didn't have enough to do, apparently. And then we're now, this is kind of mostly sponsored by donors in the U.S., Pakistani donors who are very interested in supporting this. They're committed to another 30 for next year as well. So we have enough to keep us on our plates, and that will bring us. So this is what these satellite schools are. It's just a 2-4 bedroom kind of setup where you provide a solar panel, clean water, uniforms, everything is provided for them. As well as a digital curriculum that's made specifically for the deaf. This is something that we've been working on for the last few years. And the goal is to have a KG to Class 5 digital curriculum that can be used by any person hearing or deaf around Pakistan, Urdu speaker, PSL, Pakistani Sign Language speaker, or a English speaker. It doesn't really matter. We have some ways to make it as accessible as possible, but it's made on the standards for the deaf. So this will help to increase the number of children who have access to school. Because the problem we have is that there's over 1 million deaf children in Pakistan, and less than 5% of them have access to education, and probably less than 5% of those have access to their education in Pakistani Sign Language. So we recognize the need and the immediacy of what we need to do. So this is a great way of doing it. So the digital curriculum, Pakistani Sign Language resources, the story that we developed in Pakistani Sign Language as well. This is something that's provided free of cost to the community, and it's a way just to help them do it.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the curriculum that you guys are talking about and how it differs from a traditional school?
So the curriculum specifically in the KG to Class 2 is really about making sure they have really firm foundation of language. A hearing child, when he's 5 years old, will have heard language, English or do whatever language you're in, millions, tens of millions, 60 million, 70 million times. A deaf child will not have that same access to language. A hearing child goes to school practicing a language that they already know. A deaf child doesn't have that access. So this is really the most important aspect of communication, access to language. I'll repeat this over and over again. That is really the challenge that we're working on. So this KG, especially in KG to Class 2, is making sure that they have a firm grounding in Pakistani Sign Language as a language, as well as English and Urdu as a separate language, as a separate subject. There's a lot more visuals. You don't sound things out. There's a lot of sight words in there. Only bits in order to make things accessible to them. And then just making sure that everything is available in PSL. It's just the third critical components of the.
Okay, that's great to hear. Okay, can you tell us an experience that you remember specifically that had a really big impact on you? It could be a person or an experience that you went through when working with Deaf Reach and the deaf community.
So this isn't just one example. It's something that I see on a regular basis, and it's the admissions of deaf children when they come to school for the first time. You get a whole range of people. You get some kids who are just bringing things, pulling people's hair, fighting. What's going to happen? The others are very quiet, withdrawn, shy, and engaging. And just seeing the change in those children in a matter of weeks or days or even hours. One of my favorite examples was a deaf child who went to school for the first time, just absolutely crying, holding on to mother. Probably never dropped mother once in his life before he came here. And just freaking out completely. Another deaf child saw that experience. He knew what was going on. He went out. We did coach them. So not any training or anything. He went out by himself. Saw the kid. Pulled my hand and brought him to the classroom. A couple hours later, I went down to check on him, just to make sure everything was okay. And he's sitting there next to that little kid with a big smile on his face, and like, he's my best friend. So that was 2 hours, and that's just seeing that transformation from these people. And parents tell us all the time. It's like before they came to Deaf Reach, just looking for attention, but it's doing all sorts of weird things. Now they're coming in, showing me how to sign, showing me their homework, showing things like that. That's the wonder of what we're doing. That's the joy of what we do. I'm sure you have other examples.
So, like Aaron said, that we do experience these challenges every day. I have an experience like एक बच्चा है 3 grade 3 में और साफ तो वो मुझे पहचानता है so मैं जब भी whenever I visited his class तो वो फौरन आके मुझसे शेक हैंड करेगा और इस तरीके से कहेगा picture sir I need a picture with you. So I have multiple pictures in my mobile with him. So basically आप डेली बेसिस पे कुछ ना कुछ एक्सपीरियंस कर रहे हो तो आपको हाईलाइट करेंगे जब साइन करेंगे इस तरीके से जब भी आप चाहेंगे तो ये सारी चीजें एक्सपीरियंसेस होते हैं जो बड़े हार्ट टचिंग किस्म के जो एक्सपीरियंसेस होते हैं सारे के सारे.
So can you guys tell us a little bit more about Deaf Reach, how it started, how it's going?
So basically the journey started back in 1980s and it get evolved after around 2009 or 10. And currently we do have 10 campuses across Pakistan, 6 in Sindh, the one in the one from we came is our head office in Karachi, and we do have a campus in Hyderabad. We do have a campus in Nawabshah, Sujawal, Rashtabad, and 2 campuses in Punjab, one in Lahore, and the second one is in Jeddah, and one in KBK, Nashira, and second in Quetta, Balochistan. And other than these 10 campuses, we do have around 60 satellite schools working and operational right now in Pakistan. And basically, the concept satellite schools, they are situated in the remote areas of Pakistan. जहाँ पे expense आएगा अगर हम लोग अपना hub campus build करते हैं वहाँ. So we basically provide education to the remote area states as well to satellite schools. वो रूम की फैसिलिटी होती है जहाँ पे सैटेलाइट स्कूल सोलराइजेशन हम लोग वहाँ पर करवा देते हैं टैक्सेस दे देते हैं एलईडीज की जो है वो होती है वहाँ पे एक्सेस होता है फिल्ट्रेशन प्लांट का एक्सेस होता है यूनिफॉर्म्स हम बच्चों को दे देते हैं और उनको जो है वो प्राइमरी तक की एजुकेशन we provide them till primary
from college from KG all the way to college. Correct.
College, okay. So इस तरह की 60 सैटेलाइट में we have around 2000 plus kids enrolled from kindergarten till bachelor's. We provide education till grade 14. Basically our area program, associate degree program is affiliated with Karachi University. So we provide education from kindergarten till grade 14. And we do have currently 2,000 plus students enrolled across Pakistan. And we also work with the recruiters for the job placement of our alumni and the cadets. So right now in our journey we recruited around we provided job opportunities to around 2,700 plus individuals. Other than this जो साइन लैंग्वेज बेसिकली जो है उसको डॉक्यूमेंट जो किया पाकिस्तान के अंदर वो डेफ रीच में फर्स्ट टाइम किया जैसे मैंने भी पहले भी बताया था पॉडकास्ट में लाइक कराची का जो एक साइन लैंग्वेज थी वो डिफरेंट थी एक पेशावर की साइन लैंग्वेज थी इन गवादर की साइन लैंग्वेज डिफरेंट थी कश्मीर की साइन लैंग्वेज तो हमने एक डॉक्यूमेंटेड साइन लैंग्वेज बनाई 610 वर्ड्स की डिक्शनरी साइन लैंग्वेज की ksin.co.pk तो उस पर जो है वो एक साइन लैंग्वेज हमारी अवेलेबल है और अब जो है वो एक यूनिफॉर्मिटी जो यूनिफाइड साइन लैंग्वेज हम लोगों ने कर दिया यूनिफॉर्मिटी आ गई पाकिस्तान की साइन लैंग्वेज के अंदर कराची का कोई टाइम अगर ट्रैवल करता है पेशावर कश्मीर इस्लामाबाद या गवादर या कोयटा तो वो साइन लैंग्वेज बिल्कुल एक यूनिफॉर्म रहेगी वो डिफरेंट नहीं है तो वो एक इसका भी जो ऑनर है वो हमारे पास है रीच के पास है तो ये सारी हमारी अचीवमेंट्स हैं डेफ रीच की.
And one of the wonderful things about the Pakistan Sign Language app, I mean, we developed it because we knew we needed a vocabulary for our kids in Pakistan. But this is now being looked at internationally, and countries are coming to us saying, "Can you develop us for your country?" So it's a Made in Pakistan product that is now available for export. We don't charge anything, obviously, but we're very happy to be sitting and talking to countries in Africa, countries in Central Asia, countries in Southeast Asia, who are approaching us saying, "Yeah, you can have a wonderful thing. Like, how can we do that? How can we replicate that?" So we're more than happy to assist. So it's a great Made in Pakistan. Export abroad.
Okay, lastly, do you guys have a message to our audience that you'd like to give them?
Basically, I look after all the education institute matters regarding fundraising and volunteering. So I do invite all the Nixor students to visit their fees, especially MBAKH. And through this podcast, I do invite that we always visit different education institutes. So I do invite them to visit their fees and to see firsthand what we are actually doing here, or what we are actually doing for the wellness and for the welfare of deaf community, and to interact with other kids. आप जब उनके साथ इंटरेक्ट करेंगे तो एक होता है कि अक्रॉस द ब्रिज भी कुछ होता है, लाइक वी आर सो प्रिविलेज्ड अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. तो एक होता है कि आप सामने जब कि हमारे पास 5 सेंसेस हमारे काम कर रहे हैं, बट उनका अगर कोई एक सेंस काम नहीं कर तो आपको थोड़ा सा रियलाइज होगा कि हाउ ब्लेस्ड वी आर. हम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमने फॉरगॉटन चीज नहीं है, बट वो लोग भी हैं, लेकिन उनके पास अगर कोई सेंसेस की कमी होती है, बट वो जो है ना उनकी जो फोकस लेवल होता है या उनकी जो विल होती है वो हमसे बहुत ज्यादा हाई होती है. तो वो अगर बिल्कुल इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटीज हमें भी मिले और उनको भी मिले तो वो लोग जो है ना हमसे ज्यादा कुछ कर सकते. तो मैं एक लास्ट मैसेज दूंगा कि आप लोग आए विजिट करें डेफ बीच में एंड सपोर्ट करें डेफ कम्युनिटी को अक्रॉस ऑल across all levels.
Do you have some?
So I was the logo here. It's I, L, and Y together. It becomes I love you. But it's the international sign for deafness. So anywhere in the world you travel and you see deaf people signing, you just do that. So you watch them light up. That's one thing I'll say. Another thing is we talk very much in this podcast about communication and language being the critical access for deaf people. What most people don't know is that the advances in communication happen mostly either because or by deaf people. Give you an example. The very first long distance communication was a telegraph. That was Morse code. Samuel Morse, the inventor of Morse code, he invented that code by communicating with his wife, and it's a little symbol system that he made. The telephone, Alexander Graham Bell, he did not set out to invent the telephone. He was looking at increasing the quality of sound because his wife was deaf and his mother was deaf. He was looking at how to create sound. If he gained a telephone, but that wasn't what his original goal was. I'm not going to go out there and put sound on the wire. But that became the result of it. So things that we use today in our daily lives were invented to buy or for the deaf. The last example is Vince Cerf, the father of the deaf. He invented the TCP/IP protocol. He wanted something to communicate with his wife, also deaf, and he created TCP/IP and email protocols that we all use today. So all these advances in communication are because of that or by the deaf. It's a very interesting, I think, summary of what we're talking about. And the hearing community can just help us by reducing the barriers, increasing communication and access to language.
It's been wonderful to have both of you guys here today. For our audience, thank you for signing in on Sharks on Air.
And our appreciation to Nixor for giving us this opportunity, and we look forward to having further collaborations.